So we're going to begin now to create the interface by going to Create New. And Photoshop is going to open up the new window. We're going to go to Web. And if we click on View All Presets, you'll see a whole bunch of presets here. We're actually going to use Web Large 1920 by 1080 because we want to make a web page for this. And we're going to just keep these settings, and we're going to click Create. Now once we do this, we're going to have a main artboard. We're going to just call this main artboard Main Page. And this is going to allow us to create an interface that we can then duplicate to create different panels for a site later on. So once we create this main page, what we're going to do is we are going to go in and now create an interface at the top. So we're going to create some menu items and a background. So the first thing we want to do is we want to change the background color of this. So we don't want to work with white. We're going to fill this. So we're just going to go to Edit. You have to be on the layer. And we can just name this layer Back. And now we're just going to simply click on there and go to Edit Fill. And we're just going to fill with foreground color, which is going to be black. And then we're going to go down to Effects, Color Overlay. And now we will have the ability to change the color to anything we want, test it, check it, see what we want to work with. And then if we don't like it, we can simply toggle it on or off. Now we're going to make an interface menu. So we're going to start off with just creating a little text-based logo. So we're going to click on the Type tool in Photoshop. And once we click, you're going to notice that a new layer is going to be made in this artboard. So what we can do here is we can go in and we're just going to create a little mock logo. We're doing an interface for a wildlife rescue campaign. So we're just going to do a logo. We'll just call it Wildlife. And then we'll click again. We'll put another piece of text. And we'll call it Rescue Squad. So we've got these little elements here. We can figure out what we want to do with them. I'm going to click on, I'm going to change the typeface to something different. And now I'm going to click on the other text, and I can change that as well. We can use the same, or we can use a different face. I'm going to pick something here that's a little bit different to get some visual change. Let's try this. So we've got the wildlife, we've got the rescue squad. And when you're in here, you notice that you'll see the same font. So if I wanted to change this now, I could. And we can take the word wildlife and we can make it smaller or larger. And now we have a little logo. We can group these together after we have them positioned the way we want them. Might want to take this, make it a little bit larger. And now I decide that I want to change this again. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to just break this, return, and I can tighten this up with leading. And when we go up here, if we click on this little box, we get all of our character attributes, and we can manipulate the leading here on this text to bring it up. And now if we just shift click, we can right click then and we can link these layers. And once we do that, now we've got the logo kind of ready to go, and we can plop it wherever we want in the page. And now I'm going to continue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two elements, the logo elements that I've created, and I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm going to call that folder logo. And now I can take these elements, drop them in, and they are together in one folder. Now we're going to make our navigation, our text. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the text tool, and I'm going to use the same font as the logo, which you can or can't do. It's up to you. You can use different typefaces. Just try not to use things that are too out there depending on your interface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type home, and you notice it's black, so I can't see it, so I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to change the color. I'm going to use this yellow that I dropped into the logo and click OK. And now if I take the move tool, you see how I can position this so that it kind of fits where it needs to be. I can drop it over here, and then once I do that, what I'm going to do to create the menu is I've taken the word home and put it there, and now I'm going to just simply copy that layer, and it's going to give me another piece of text that I can then position, highlight that, and then I'm going to call that story. And then I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to drag it over, position it, and you see Photoshop will give me the measurements so that I know that it's distributed perfectly. If not, there's a tool for that. I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to type contact, and now we have just created our text menu. And again, we can create a folder, a group, double click, call it menu, and now I can pull it up, and then I can take these three layers and put them in so that now we have a nice, neat layers area, and we have our menu, which we can show or hide. We've got our logo, which we can show or hide, and now we're ready to begin to put some content into the page. Okay, so now we're ready to bring in some content, and what I've done is on the desktop I've put a folder full of stock art with my content, just to make it easier for me to be able to go in and find my artwork. So I'm going to find an image that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this image here. I'll drag it right into Photoshop, and then I'll grab the corner handle and I'll scale it up, and I'll pull it down, and then when I hit return, we're going to see this in the layers palette, but you'll notice that it's over one of my objects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it down so that it's below everything. And again, this is in the menu, but this is by itself now underneath here. So we can do some stuff to this image to change it a little bit. I'm going to use the effects. I'm going to go to gradient overlay, and what this is going to allow me to do is to create a nice soft transition from the imagery, and you'll notice that what we can do is we can play with the gradient, and I'll manipulate it a little bit just to create this kind of falling off right here. So once we do that, now we've got some content. Our logo, though, is still hidden, so we need to make sure that we pull this down lower so that now we see everything, and we can see our interface kind of coming together here. And the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a header graphic, and we're going to be, a footer, footer bar, and then we're going to be adding some text. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a footer bar to this interface. So we're going to go over, and we're going to create use the rectangle tool, and we're going to have to create a new layer for this. So we do that. We can use shape, path, or pixels. I'm just going to use shape right now, and I'm going to draw a box over the bottom of the interface, and you can see that its properties come up for stroke, for fill. Right now there's no stroke on this. We've got it as black, and if I take the move tool, you can see that I can reposition it, and you can see where it is in the layers palette. It's sitting on top of the image content. So we've got our bar, footer bar right here, and now we can start to add text and content to that to allow people to go back or find something else. So now for our footer, what we're going to be doing is I brought in a royalty-free piece of artwork with social graphics on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the magic wand tool, and I'm just going to get rid of this background. I just did file place. I placed it in here, and then I rasterized it by going to rasterize layer. And now I have all the icons. I can deselect, and I can figure out what icon I want to use. I'll use the Twitter icon, so I just take the selection tool, and now I can just move this here. We have to make sure that this is in front of the rectangle. As you see there, I'm going to delete the rest of this stuff out. That's gone, and I can just delete the rest of this, figure out what other graphic I want. Maybe I'll just keep the Facebook and the Twitter. So I'll just delete the rest of these. Keep the YouTube also. And I'm just selecting and deleting. And you'll notice that we can just go in, delete. Oh, we're on the wrong layer. I want to make sure we're on the right layer. And here are our three icons. And they're all on the same layer, so I'm just going to have to select it to grab it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command T. I'm going to scale these a little bit. And now I just need to reposition this YouTube logo. And now we can take these three items, we can drop them here, And now we've added them to our footer. Now we're going to continue by adding some text on this page. And what we'll do is we'll click and we'll type in the wild world needs your help. And again, now I can take this text, I can change the size of it. We can lay some body copy under this, so I can click back onto the text tool. And now I'm going to just write a small paragraph. And again, I can take this, make it smaller, obviously. So I just wrote a little block of copy here. And I'm going to take that. I'm going to position it right here. I can highlight it, change the color, change it to white. And now we have the basic layout of our interface.